Hello, and welcome back. I am fed up with summer and its heat, and I'm yearning for fall. Yearning for cooler weather, fall colors, pumpkin patches, and of course, Halloween. One thing that makes it feel more like spooky season to me is horror movies. While I do watch them year-round, I do my own personal 31 days of Halloween every October and try to watch a movie or a special every day. Now, I've heard multiple people in the horror community say that 2022 was the best year for new horror releases in the last few decades.
2022 will go down as probably the most stacked year for horror in our lifetime.
And yeah, I gotta say, the ones that I have already seen, I really liked most of them. But I want to see as many of them as I can to see if any of them can earn a spot on my yearly Halloween viewing list. So I found a list online of every horror movie released in 2022, cross-referenced with IMDb to find their release date, and I'm gonna try to watch them in order of release. I primarily used each movie's first limited release date when it would have become available for the most amount of people to watch. I avoided sequels and franchise entries if I haven't seen the others. So for example, I included Scream because I've seen all of those, but I did not include Halloween Ends because I'm very behind on that franchise. Same with Texas Chainsaw. One last thing, I have most streaming platforms, but not all of them. Streaming availability changes all the time though, so I will watch as many as I possibly can with the resources that I have. So without further ado, let's get started because this is a very long list. Hellblazers is, well, my mom told me if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. So I guess that's the end of the video. Like and subscribe. No, but honestly, this movie is complete trash. There's no plot, there's at least 30 minutes worth of completely useless dialogue that I can only assume was left in to pad the runtime, and I could not tell you more than like 2 or 3 of the characters' names. They are so boring and unmemorable. I pulled this movie up to watch it the other day, and, well, let's just break down this description real quick. First of all, in the 1980s, there's nothing 80s about this movie. The closest thing is the waitress bopping to royalty-free synth pop with a side pony. If you're gonna make the choice to say it's the 80s, at least do the smallest bit of work to make it believable. I don't know much about cars, but I have watched enough X-Files to know that cars were boxy as hell until at least 1992. So that cop car is painfully out of place. Also, they make a big deal out of Bill being a Vietnam vet.
I was in Nam and I saw a lot of shit.
The last American troops were pulled out in '73, so even making a very generous assumption here and saying that it's 1989 and Bill was at maximum military age limit while serving, that would still make Bill, at best, around 51 years old. Bruce Dern was in his early 80s at the time of filming this movie. The fact that he was in Vietnam is barely ever brought up again. So why not just say he was a Korean War vet? That would put him closer to his 70s, which makes much more sense. Or just don't say it's the 80s. I don't understand the need to specify the decade. It isn't relevant to the story at all. But anyway, back to the description. A satanic cult bent on unleashing hell on earth. That is giving this cult far too much credit. This is the most pathetic, uninteresting cult I've ever seen in a movie. Conjures a demon. Yeah, a generic demon that we never even fully get to see, and whose design just feels like a ripoff of a Hell Knight from Doom. No name, no backstory, we don't even get to see what he's capable of. That its members must feed with a small town's residents. Which they do, and that's it. The description makes it sound so much more exciting than it truly is. And so do the posters. Looking this movie up, the first thing you see is Tony Todd. He's on almost every poster. He has maybe 3 minutes of screen time. I don't know how he even got involved with this movie, but he was underutilized for sure. Also, Billy Zane, not sure how he got here either. He's barely in the movie despite playing the leader of the cult. But let's get into it, I guess. Spoiler alert, if for some reason you do want to watch this for yourself, it is on Amazon Prime and Tubi. So the movie opens with the most early 2000s looking credits that I've seen since 13 Ghosts. We see a group in yellow robes, strange choice for a satanic cult. Maybe the local fabric store discontinued this color and they got it cheap? Billy Zane, the cult leader, appears, and I don't think anyone told him that this movie isn't a comedy. Honestly, this is the only part of the movie that I even remotely enjoyed because Billy Zane just hams it up.
A perfect subject approacheth. A perfect subject approacheth. Throw him in. Steve the nigga hold a hell for nothing. Put him in.
I especially love when he's having the cult repeat the Latin chant and they get lost and just mumble along instead. They have a random guy lay down next to the fire effects and pretend he's falling into a hole to hell, and I still don't know if this guy was like an offering or if the demon took over his body. They don't really explain why they're raising this demon, they don't really explain anything, they just kind of do it. Billy tells it to go off and eat and grow more powerful, and that the cult is there to help by providing people for it to eat. It walks off into the woods, and Billy Zane goes somewhere. I don't know, we never see him again till the end in a different small town trying to find new cult recruits, but we'll talk about that later. Resident Old Man Bill witnesses this ritual and, apparently silently, heads into town the next day to notify the sheriff. Seriously, he just randomly appears at Sheriff Joe's desk in the middle of a conversation. You don't hear the door, you don't hear his wheelchair, nothing. Bill says he's here to make a complaint and tells the sheriff what he saw the cult doing on his property last night. Bill is insufferable. This scene drags on forever and it is so hard to watch. If they were going for a feeling of an authentic boomer interaction, they nailed it. Complete with casual racism.
They were in Afghanistan or some fucking place. You know, the Hare Krishna people and they... Plus, he's a Mexican dog. Are you saying Mexicans are assholes?
Oh.
And insulting someone who's just trying to do their job.
Party.
Speak up, asshole. What?
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah,
Are you
well, I
calling me an
can't hear
asshole?
you. Okay. Am I allowed to be deaf?
The other cops, Teddy and Liz, dismiss Bill's story as just more crazy ramblings, but Sheriff Joe seems to take it a little more seriously. It's mentioned multiple times throughout the movie that Joe came here from New York. He's a quiet, reserved guy, and it almost feels like the movie's trying to hint at him maybe having a traumatic past. Like maybe he's dealt with cults or demons like this before? But no, that would be far too much character development and backstory for this movie. We never learn anything about Joe's past at all. Teddy heads out looking for a missing dog and ends up coming across Timmy the Paperboy's bike and a pool of blood. He catches a glimpse of some cult members in the weeds and hightails it back into town. Meanwhile, a couple in a car keep hearing noises. The guy gets out of his unlocked driver's side door to investigate, then comes running back to her passenger's side door with a wide open window and pretends he can't just unlock and open the door himself. He gets tackled, and then the demon appears on the other side of the car, caressing the windshield before presumably attacking the girl as well. Man-door, hand-hook car door was better. We then, unfortunately, spend more time with our most annoying character back at his property. A few cult members show up, and instead of all rushing the person they've come to collect for the demon to eat, they all politely take turns coming towards Bill with different weapons. He taunts them and entices them to step forward. The first two encounter some dry ice and fog machines, and the third steps in a clearly visible bear trap. I mean, I know he's wearing a hood, but come on. Bill then sets off a grenade, thankfully killing them both. We see that the demon is becoming stronger from eating all these townsfolk as he starts to transform into something more powerful. This scene is clearly where the entire special effects budget went. Liz comes to find Sheriff Joe at the diner, and she says neighbors have been hearing noises at Bill's place, so they leave to check it out. We then have an almost 4-minute scene with some other side characters, full of useless, awkward filler dialogue just to get the point across that the phone lines are down.
About that timing bell. Let's do it up. Do it up? Does that mean you want me to order it for you? Yeah, how long do you think it'll take to get here? We'll have to order it up from Ingram, so usually only takes a couple of days. Come on.
I mean, honestly, why couldn't Liz have just walked into the diner saying, "Hey, Sheriff, I've been trying to reach you over here, but I think the phones are down." Boom, done. Problem established. It's just shocking to me that between the writer, the director, the actors, the sound crew, the cameraman, the editor, not one of them was like, "Hey, this feels a little drawn out. You think maybe we should shorten it?" Nobody? Okay, whatever. Liz and Joe arrive at Bill's place, and Liz is attacked from behind by the demon in a stylish, distressed cold shoulder top. How chic. Joe stares in disbelief as Liz is squished by the demon before taking a few shots at it. Back in town, it's discovered that all their car batteries have been removed so nobody can leave. Cult members start showing up, and in his final scene, Tony Todd gets everyone else safe inside the bar before trying to fight a few off. They don't show him dying, they don't show the members dying, this is it. I thought maybe this was a setup for him to pop back and save someone else later. Nope, we never see Tony Todd again. Rick the mechanic is confronted by a few cult members and decides to shoot at his propane tanks to blow them all. Hey, wait a minute, why does this scene look like an explosion, but earlier we just got smoke? Alright, well, R.I.P. Rick. Oh, wait, never mind. He's survived it? Oh, there we go. Now R.I.P. Rick. Cindy the waitress witnesses this attack, and after her boss is attacked by a cult member, runs out of the diner. Bro, are those ASICs? You can move faster than that, can't you? Even so, Cindy gets away and hides at the bar with the rest of the town. Teddy plans to try to make it to the police station to get some firepower. He slips out the back door while the cult is seemingly distracted, feeding the demon its own dead followers. He's attacked by a few stragglers, but Joe shows up just in time and they're able to get into the station.
Jesus Christ! Joe, you're alive!
Teddy, you want to try that line again? No? Oh, okay. Teddy keeps watch as Joe gathers up all the ammo he can. Teddy remembers that a few years ago they confiscated a grenade launcher from Bill, so Joe gets that prepped while they make a plan.
Oh, I have a date with a big toothy horny monster, and it's about to get fucked!
Joe, why you gotta make it weird? Teddy radios the others over at the bar to fill them in as the cult surrounds the building and stabs Bobby? Wait, Robbie. No, I think it's Bobby. Through the gap between the double doors. R.I.P. Robbie/Bobby. Teddy makes his way back to the others and Joe heads out to find the demon over at the tree farm. He hears the demon inside, and instead of just lighting the place up with his ranged explosive weapon, Joe decides to pad the runtime a little more and pick up a heavy melee weapon instead. He very weakly slashes around the trees for a bit while the demon plays peekaboo. Rather than rushing him for a quick meal, the makeup team said, No, demon, stay behind the trees. We can't reveal that you're just wearing jeans and ASICs on your lower half. Since the demon can't cross the tree line, Joe goes back to his explosive device and finally decides to just blow up the tree farm. Even though we see no body or anything, the movie says it's dead, so I guess it is. The remaining survivors walk off into the night. We then get a mid-credit scene in another small-town diner nearby, and Billy Zane, whose name is apparently Joshua, I guess, according to the credits, asks the waitress to tell him about their small town, implying that he's going to establish another cult and start the process all over again. So, does this movie get a spot on my list? Not in a million years. I am never watching this movie again. Look, I understand low budget, and to be fair, this movie doesn't look terrible. Some of the effects work well, some don't. Some of the dialogue works, a lot of it really, really doesn't. But my biggest problems are with the story, or lack thereof, and the characters. There's no history given on this demon or any of the townsfolk. All we know is Bill apparently served in Nam, and Joe moved here from the big city. And they do nothing with any of that information to make it relevant to the story. We learn nothing about Billy Zane's character at all. Why does he want to summon a demon? What's his end goal? How did he convince all these cult members to join? We never even get to see what this demon is truly capable of. We see him tackle the guy by the car and kind of squish Liz, but other than that, he does nothing that poses any threat at all. The cult members do all the work, they initiate the attacks and drag the bodies to the demon for him to eat. We know little to nothing about anyone else. Hell, I couldn't even remember half of their names. In most horror movies, characters are written in such a way that you either love them and want them to make it out okay, or they're terrible people and you want them to die. I felt nothing for any of these characters. Well, except for Bill. I wanted him to die because he was so annoying. The rest of them, total indifference to their fate. Characters make or break your story. Main character or supporting, hero or villain, if you don't put enough thought or meaning into any given character, they can break a story so fast. And don't get me wrong, well-written characters can still be acted poorly, and vice versa. But in the case of Hellblazers, I really think the ball was dropped on both ends. And I know, who am I to talk? Tiny little 6-subscriber YouTube channel, what do I know? My opinion certainly doesn't speak for everyone. I'm sure there are people out there who liked this movie. I just very much did not. But let's go out on a good note. I will say the design of the demon was good, even if it was copied from Doom. The lighting was good. There was never a point that it was too dark to see what was happening. And they didn't cop out with shaky cam footage to save money. You got to see what action there was, and you did get to see the monster quite a bit. Have you seen Hellblazers? What did you think? Am I being too harsh on it, or were you just as bored watching it as I was? Let me know down below. This is only movie number 2 on a very long list, so if you don't want to miss other reviews, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.